There's a link between Malta's prison found in Paola and the nearby church of St Ubaldesca. The link is the Archconfraternity of the Holy Rosary. They wore long white robes and hoods over their heads, and they had a peculiar job. They had to care for the souls of men who had been executed. Executions used to take place in public in Malta, but after 1878, they began to be carried out in a special room inside Malta's prison. In the days leading up to his death, the condemned man would be looked after by the Archconfraternity of the Holy Rosary, a group of local men whose job was to prepare the man for his impending doom and to look after his soul afterwards.
Shortly before the execution, the Archconfraternity would collect money in the streets. This would go towards the costs of burying the condemned man, and if he had a family, then they would get some of this money too, because they were about to lose their main breadwinner.
As part of the process of execution, the Archconfraternity members would use a special item just before the person would be hanged, and we can still see that item today in the Blackfriars Museum in Valletta. The condemned men would be on the gallows waiting to be hanged. Just before they dropped, they would have a paddle held up in front of their faces. Here in the Blackfriars Museum, we can see one of those very paddles. It's got an image of the Madonna on it. This would be the very last thing that condemned men would see before they died.
After the condemned man had been dropped on the gallows and hanged, a black flag would then go up on the roof of the prison.
Once the execution had taken place, the members of the Archconfraternity of the Holy Rosary would walk down this very street. They would be dressed in long white robes with their white pointed hoods, and they were heading towards a church. The procession was headed here because this was the place where a special mass would be said for the soul of the man who had just been executed, right here in the church of St Ubaldesca. Now, there's something interesting about the architecture in this church. We can see that this is the newer part. It was built after 1910. But this is the older part of the church, and this is where the Archconfraternity would say Mass for the soul of the man who had just been executed. This tradition goes on for a really long time. It happens in the late 1800s, and it goes on all the way up until 1943, and then it stops, because that's when we had our last ever execution in Malta. For more tales of the terrible and stories of the strange, take a walk with Dark Malta Tours.